Today we're going to be talking about Jacob Breeland, tight end, Oregon. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the great content coming from the team over here at RotoHeat.com. Breeland is 6'5", 250 pounds, and in his 4-year career at Oregon, he had 74 catches for 1,225 yards and 13 touchdowns. That's about 16.6 yards per catch. For athletic ability, we gave him a 5.7 out of 10. The tough thing with him is he's not the most dynamic tight end. He doesn't have the speed to really lose players at the second level, especially if you watch a lot of his routes, he ran a lot of seams and things like that, and he just couldn't take the coverage with him. He doesn't have that kind of big play speed that you're hoping to see at somebody who is mostly a receiving option. Now, obviously, he did get into the pass blocking game, but they used him a lot more as a receiver than a pass blocker. For toughness, we gave him a 6.7 out of 10. He's a physical route runner, and I think that's a lot of what makes up his higher rating in our mind. Definitely will take on anybody when he's running his routes, and he's a willing pass blocker as well. The thing I noticed a lot about him that concerned me though is when he would be in the blocking situations, he oftentimes kind of threw himself at players and he kind of made himself off balance. He used his hands pretty well to get up in the guy's chests and really try to grab the pads and move around, but he would oftentimes put himself in situations where he would get kind of knocked around or shoved out of the way or moved past, and then also there's a bit of injury problems. He lost a portion of 2019 to an injury, so that is a little bit of a concern as well. But toughness is probably one of the better attributes we saw. For hands, we gave him a 6.5 out of 10. One of his best traits by far. He does a really good job catching. Doesn't look like he's fighting the ball when it comes his way. The unfortunate thing is, Oregon really didn't use him in the passing game. I mean, they didn't really use a lot of their tight ends in the passing game. Over a 4-year career, he only had 74 catches for 1,200 yards. I mean, even his most receptions was this last season, 26, and he had over 400 yards receiving. There's some concerns there that he just hasn't had a lot of action in his college career. But when he does get the ball thrown his way, he made some really good catches, and he did it really well. It doesn't look like at the next level his hands would be a concern. Lack of production may be a little bit of a concern, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything about the player itself, their system involved, the fact that they have lots of weapons, things like that. For Yak, we gave him a 5.8 out of 10. Breeland's not a guy that's going to wow you. When he caught the ball, most of the time he had somebody kind of draped on him, and he wasn't making a big play. He would fight for extra yards a little bit. We saw in some of his catches, but it wasn't, really wasn't anything to write home about. So we really rated him kind of about average. Some of the guys rated him less than average. Some of them were just a little bit more. And, it's an area of his game that we don't know because of the kind of the poor athletic profile and not that speed to get away from guys. I don't really know how much yak he's going to be able to get at the next level unless they're designing plays where everybody's out of his way and he gets room to run, which you're not going to see that at the NFL level. Guys are going to be covering pretty well. So it's definitely something to be concerned about at the next level. For route running, we gave him a 5.1 out of 10. By far, the worst rating we gave him. And you see, not only there just wasn't a lot to look at. Only having 26 catches in a season means he's doing a lot of blocking and a lot of other things and not getting a lot of opportunity. When you watch his routes, you see a lot of seams, you see a lot of kind of cutback type routes. I mean, you're not getting a lot out of him. He doesn't high point the ball all that well, but that also goes back to the kind of average athletic profile. So there's a lot of concerns with Breeland when it comes to some of the more important characteristics we need to see out of a tight end. Overall, we gave him a 6.0 out of 10. He's really not great at anything. There's not any one thing that he's specifically good at. He's got a lot of room to grow. In our minds, he's kind of better suited as like a tight end 2 on a team. So backup tight end just isn't something that's super sexy to a fantasy owner. He's going to be a guy that you could take and stash to see if he develops. hard worker. The kid can do pretty well with the hands and the physicality to his game. So there's going to be an NFL team that probably finds that interesting and wants to see what they can do with it. Obviously this gets bumped if he goes to a team that is in need of a tight end and he's kind of the guy. But we're kind of projecting him as like a later, a fourth, fifth round type rookie pick. Definitely not one of the top, 3 tight ends in this class. Probably not in the top 5, quite honestly. So make sure you let us know who you want us to rate and review next, and let us know in the comments below what you think about Jacob Breeland.
Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it. You want to. Do it.